So as you've probably already noticed, because I wrote it on the board, there's more than one conic section, so I actually have to tell you the kind of shape that we're working with. So what this means is we took a cone and we sliced it in such a way that each cross section is a circle. So in order to get that, we slice straight across. And when we do, each cross section comes out as a perfect circle. There are other ways to slice this cone that will give us other shapes. There are 4 conic sections in total. We are starting with the easiest one, and that, in my opinion, is circles. Okay? So this is just one of 4 types of conic sections. Keep in mind, there are 4 different kinds that have 4 different rules. Okay? So make sure you keep them separate in your notes and on your cheat sheets when you make them. In order to do conic sections, we actually have to know a couple of things about a circle first. Hopefully, these are things that you already covered in geometry. Hopefully, such as the midpoint formula. Does anybody remember what the midpoint formula is for 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2?
Yeah, we had everything to us.
Okay, the midpoint formula is the addition of like variables divided by 2. So pretty much finding the averages of each of my coordinates. So this would be x1 plus x2 divided by 2 would give me the midpoint x coordinate. And y1 plus y2 divided by 2 would give me the y midpoint coordinate. Is that ringing a bell somewhere?
Not really, because I was just.
Okay, so after the midpoint formula, you also have to know the distance formula. Does anybody remember that one?
I don't even remember that one. Oh, yeah. Like I don't even.
So what's
My goodness. Okay.
I remember
should have gone.
she
Pumpkin offered us to go teach his class.
Yeah, I remember
today.
the Nerf guns, and I remember the
the tree
point.
game we played. I remember all the games we played.
Okay, so the distance formula between 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2 is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared.
I recall this.
I hope some of you do. These are going to be very important when we start solving for the equations of a given circle. So make sure you have them somewhere on your paper because you're going to need them for your homework and when we have a quiz.
Notes for a quiz.
Yes, well, cheat sheet.
Open notes.
No.
I mean, this is like geometry.
No. Okay, now that we have those 2 formulas out of the way, we're going to talk about what a circle is and what the equation for a circle looks like. What is a circle? Anybody have an idea?
A round thing.
Oh, that's helpful.
It's a line
so
that
is a wheel.
curves together infinitely.
Oh.
Actually, 3.1515.
I'm so concerned.
It's cylindrical.
She's literally gonna write.
This is your honors class, by the way.
I know.
I just need to know.
It's not honors class. It's just a bunch of
It's a.
Yeah, it's a bunch of kids who try to make fun of the what is a circle.
No, they were doing triangles. Whatever they were doing.
How are we supposed to come up with that definition on the spot?
So a circle is a set of all points that are equal distance from their center.
And make a round.
It is round in nature, yes.
Has no sides. Look at me go. Okay. That's not.
Ooh.
goodness.
And you're stuck with us all until we're all gone.
Oh yeah, aren't you stuck with us for the next 2 years?
I am. Yay. No, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Okay.
And we've only had Mrs. Zamor for what, 1 year and a half, and we've gotten super comfy with her. So we're gonna get comfy with you pretty soon.
What we're gonna look at now is the standard form equation for a circle. In the equation for a circle, there are two pieces of information that we need to know. We need to know the center. This is given by coordinates h, comma, k. H and k are just variables that stand for the coordinates of whatever our center is going to be, but we can't use x and y because those are also present in the equation. We also have to know the radius of the circle, and we just use r to denote that. The standard form equation for a circle is r squared equals the quantity x minus h squared plus the quantity y minus k squared. Where again, h and k are the coordinates of the center of my circle, and r is the radius of my circle. Yeah, of course, I'm sorry. Huh?
That's supposed to be, it's radius squared equals that, right?
Yes.
Not just square the radius. Or you try.
Can't you just take out the squares? Just
We figure out the radius first and then we square. Oh, excuse me.
is that a hiccup?
That was a hiccup, I'm sorry. Okay, are we ready for the first example?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Again, this is a 2-day lesson, so I'm going to try not to overwhelm your brains entirely today, but I'm going to try and get at least half the information in there. Okay?
So does that mean we have to learn 2 days?
Huh?
We need the other half tomorrow.
No, circles is going to take 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, Jane.
So no homework tonight.
No, you have, I'm assigning it tonight, although it won't be due until Thursday.
So really, no homework.
So I
You'll have questions.
school.
You'll have questions.
All right.
Okay.
Oh.
First example.
I would.
That's a wonderful question.
I know, right? We are going to be graphing. So I do highly suggest that you try to draw these as close to as possible. However, you can do these problems without the graphs with enough information. So if your graph is a little bit off, that's okay. You are also graphing on your homework. I meant to print the homework. I even sent it to the printer. I just forgot to print it. So I'm sorry. Huh?
So no homework.
No, there's homework. There's definitely homework.
I usually just do a sloppy version of it. Plus 70. What's easy? I didn't even draw it. Why don't I have that?
It's not straight. Who said ovals? Who said they need ovals? We're doing ellipses next. Those are ovals. Oh, we're doing ellipses next.
I said my circles look like open.
Oh yeah, so do mine.
Oh my.
Don't look at the notes, they're really bad, so that's okay. Okay, so the center of this circle is at the point -3, 1. And it goes through the point 2, -1. Be very, very bad. This is like the important thing. You don't need anything else. That is awful, but that's okay. We don't. It doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter.
That
That is not the center.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, the center was.
Oh, it's
It's close enough. All we really care about is this point and this point. That's all I care about. There.
the negative 3 on the center of the circle.
Yes, -3, 1 is the center.
So you just place it and find out one of the
No, I told you one of the outside points.
Oh, you told
Yeah, that's why it's on there.
me. So we have to find.
We're gonna find the equation of the circle.
Well, if the center is on the left side
Mine
of the
looks like a
circle, I say
potato.
that's the
So basically, we just write down the points and make a shape from
Yes.
the edges.
Yes,
What about the -3, 1?
that's the
more
center.
That
It's supposed to.
Okay.
It's supposed to be the center. I mean, like, as best as I can freehand this.
I got it.
I don't think that's any better.
Yeah, that's better. I mean, it's closer.
It's a little bit
It's
better.
better.
Oh, it's supposed to be the center.
Yeah, that one's supposed to be the center.
That's not what.
Again, it's okay if your graph sucks, like mine does. All we care about is the point I gave you is the center and the point I gave you on the outside. That's all we need to solve this.
Okay.
It's just good to know that it's supposed to be a circle. I would also like you to keep in mind that when we are doing this and writing the equation, we are writing our equations in only standard form. There are technically 2 forms for an equation of a circle. We are working only in the standard form. So if you see something else, it is not the same form that we've been doing, and I tried not to put that on the homework. Okay, so your homework is just standard form, just normal. You will, but not right now. I'm gonna try and save that. Okay, so in order to write the equation of my circle, what 2 pieces of information do I need to know? Loud, say it with confidence.
I don't know.
Oh.
Miranda, say it louder.
Center.
Center and radius, that's the only thing I need to know.
So,
So now I need that distance.
Do I know the center of my circle?
yeah, there's
Yes.
one.
-3, 1. Some people also find it helpful to put the h above the x coordinate of my circle and the k above the y. That way you remember that's what those values are. Do I know the radius length of my circle? No, but can I find it?
Yes.
Yes. What do you think I'm going to use to find the radius?
Two half.
The distance formula. Because I'm just finding the distance from the center to that outside point to -1. So radius is equal to my distance formula, which is going to be the square root of 2 minus a -3 squared plus -1 minus 1 squared. And then all I have to do is simplify.
Oh yeah, I remember.
2 minus a -3 becomes 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 squared is 25. -1 minus 1 is -2. -2 squared is 4. So under the radical, I should end up with 25 and 4. And when I add those together, I get what? Square root of 29. Good. If it's not a perfect square, we leave it as the radical. I do not want the decimal approximation. I don't even want the reduced simplified radical. I want it exactly like that. Why is it okay to leave it like that? Because we're going to square it when we put it back into the equation. Good. So now I have the radius, and I have the center. Both. What's up?
Why is it -1 minus 1?
Because I did y2 minus y1.
Oh, never mind.
You could have gone the other way as long as you kept it consistent. Okay, so I have the center, I have the radius. I'm going to go ahead and write the equation of my circle. So the equation of the circle is r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the h, the k, and the r that I found right here. When I do, I get the square root of 29 squared equals x minus a -3 becomes x plus 3, and then y minus 1. The last thing I need to do is simplify the radius. What happens when I square a square root? Just cancels and I'm left with just the number underneath. So that is the equation for my circle.
Oh, that's the answer.
That's the answer.
So we don't have to solve.
We did solve it.
Okay.
How bad was that?
Pretty terrible.
It was
Not the worst thing you've ever done.
It just takes a while.
Yeah, it does take a little bit. The more you do it, the faster you get at it.
How many questions do we have in homework?
I put questions on your homework.
It's fine, I don't know, like-
They're not all like this though.
Okay, wait, how many are like that? Like 4?
Should I just do like
That was sarcasm.
Oh,
That's pretty much what we're doing. Yeah, we're pretty much doing 5 and 5.
Just takes
Okay, are we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This one is just like the previous one where I'm asking you to write the equation for a circle that's given to you.
We have to write the graph.
Well, I'm drawing the graph because that's how I presented the information to you. So in this one, your center is 0, 0, and it goes through the point 1, 5.
That was pretty good.
That one does actually look pretty good. The one on my notes looks like a football.
I think I is definitely on that one.
Does she? We're gonna have a circle drawing competition because it's a lot of fun.
I think Brandon.
Mrs. Ringle did that, and I think I won it. I won a competition and then I think it was a circle.
That's awesome. I did it with my pre-cal class, and we had a blast. We did a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket, and it was a lot of fun.
Brandon.
That's exciting.
What did you say?
Okay, so Brandon, since you're talking, what 2 pieces of information do I need to know to write the equation for a circle?
Center and radius.
Center and radius. Do I know either of those right now?
Yeah, I think that was sent. Oh.
Brandon, what do I know already? The center, what is it? 0, 0. Again, where the first coordinate is my H, and the second coordinate is my K. Do I know the radius of my circle? Yes or no? No, but how do I find it? Distance formula. So on your own, please find the radius for this circle. Square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Do you want me to write it for you, Brandon?
That would be fun to have.
When I do the distance formula, I do the outside point minus the inside point. You can do inside minus outside. That's perfectly fine as well. You will get the same answer. When I do outside minus inside, I get 1 minus 0 is 1. So I get 1 squared for my first part of the formula, plus 5 minus 0 is 5. So I get 5 squared is the second part. 1 squared is 1. 5 squared is 25. 25 and 1 makes 26. So we should have gotten the square root of 26 as our radius. Did anybody not get that? Are we doing okay so far? On your own, please write the equation for the circle, if you haven't already. Show of hands, who else got the equation 26 equals x squared plus y squared? You also could have left it as x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared. That is entirely fine as well. I just find the minus 0 is redundant and unnecessary, but it's your choice. Yes.
Why do you have to put it in that form?
Instead of leaving it as this?
Yes.
It's unsimplified technically because I have a square and a square root. So we always want to leave it in a simplified form. If you left it like this though, I probably wouldn't do that very much. Maybe half a point, honestly, but we do always like to reduce as far as possible. Any other questions? How are we doing with this so far? I would like a 1 to 5.
Honestly, it's not that bad. Actually,
Okay, I'm seeing lots of good numbers.
Oh,
It's okay, I figured. Yes, ma'am.
So the number under the square root was like a perfect like square. Would you have to square it?
Right, so if this had come out like the square root of 16, I would have written my radius as 4, and then I still would have squared the 4. So it would have come back to be 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be that number.
Yes, it's always going to be whatever number is underneath the radical. Well, we don't just use radius for that. So it's always good to find the radius. It just so happens on this one we do square it. Just do it. It's all good. Okay, so now we are going to change tactics a little bit. We're not going to give you a graph. Instead, we're going to give you some points on the circle. This particular example asks us to write the equation for a circle with endpoints of a diameter that's located at 7, 6, and -1, -8. I know to write the equation of a circle, I need the center and I need the radius. I don't have either of those pieces of information right now. Any ideas how I could find either one of those pieces of information? Hold on, I heard it. Reese, what do you think? Why would I use the midpoint? How does that help me find the center? How do I know I can use that to find the center? And the diameter goes directly through the center of a circle. That's very important because technically I could have a chord on the circle, but that wouldn't give me a midpoint, okay? So as Reese pointed out, I know that a diameter goes through the center of a circle, and each of those endpoints have to be the same distance from the center, which means their midpoint or their halfway point will be the center of my circle. So we're going to use that midpoint rule to find the center of my circle. How do I find the midpoint of 2 points? Okay, the formula, which says that I add like coordinates and then divide by 2. So I'm going to put my x's together. So 7 and -1, and then I'm going to divide by 2. And I'm going to put my y's together. So 6 and -8, and I'm going to divide by 2. And I'll simplify those out to get my center. 7 minus 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 6 minus 8 is -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So my center is at the point 3, -1. Any questions on that one? Everybody okay with how we found that center? I definitely put something like this on your homework.
Oh, okay.
Also remembering H and K are the coordinates of that center. I always like to put it in case anybody forgets. So I have the center. What other piece of information do I need to find? The radius. How do I find the radius? Is it going to be any different now that I have a diameter instead of a graph? No. I'm still just finding the distance from one of these diameter points to the center of my circle. So I'm still using that distance formula. I just get to pick which point I want to use. I tend to always go with the one that's positive. It's a lot easier to do subtraction with positives than with negatives. So that radius is going to be my distance formula. I'm going to use 7, 6. So I'm going to have 7 minus 3 squared plus 6 minus a -1 squared. Again, we do the distance between one of the outside points and the center point, not with the 2 diameter points, okay? I go ahead and I simplify this out. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 6 is 7. 7 squared is 49. And I should get 65. Or square root of 65, yes. Yeah. Did anybody not get 65? Or square root of 65, sorry, as their radius. Okay, now go ahead and write the equation for the circle.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You should have ended up with 65 equals the quantity x minus 3 squared plus the quantity y plus 1 squared. Show of hands who have this equation. Okay, so we're feeling pretty good about this, right? Anybody super duper confused or having issues? No?
Oh, is that the final answer?
That is our final answer. It's the equation, yes. Okay, I'm going to give you one to do on your own. While you're doing it, I'm going to go print your homework for you.
It's printed.
Well, I said I sent it to the printer. I just didn't make it down there to print it yet. So I will run down and print it. That way you guys don't have to freehand these graphs.
Bless you.
Good idea.
Also, I found that if I print the homework, I get more of it turned in than I do if I don't print it. Yes.
For the use like one of the points that they want to give you in like
Yes.
HA2?
I used one of the diameter points because it's on the outside of the circle, and then I used my center point.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
No, you will get the same answer either way, as long as all of your math is correct. Okay, any questions on this one before I write the next one and go print your homework? Okay, awesome.
Well, because you can physically see it. Plus, opening your computer to do an assignment is exhausting.
Exhausting.
Yes, it is. You're just staring at a blank screen and telling you.
I
how
can
many
tell you
things
it's
you're
worse to
missing.
grade it on the computer
I'm sure.
than it is to do it on the computer.
Exactly. Cancel technology.
Not that I'm ever saying you should turn it in online, because I will happily accept it online. Happily. At least gets turned in.
Brandon, don't be trying to.
I heard that you just didn't want to do this one.
Oh, Brandon.
We should go back in time. Go back to books.
What?
The only technology we have is the Chrome.
I can crack
So we can draw.
Oh.
What?
Okay, get to work.
Anyone know the answer? Your phone's ringing.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, did we get that finished?
Would it be rude if like you answered?
I have no idea. If you're, go for it. I don't mind.
I mean, like if you weren't in the room.
Go for it. I don't mind. Anybody want to come up and write the equation that they got for this?
Sure, I'll do it.
Go, Cadence.
Yay. I just want to write.
Show of hands, who else got this equation? That is 100% correct. Okay. How do we feel? Do we still feel good about this?
Yeah.
We have one last little piece, which I will do tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this is all we are covering today. You can actually do a majority of the homework off of this.
Oh.